Then we go on to attitude hazards, or abbreviated to an AH. Okay, what is an AH? An attitude hazard is a global attitude trait that all humans will have in them and will use from time to time. But it is a hazard. It is a characteristic or a trait that can sometimes be to our detriment. If we don't use it properly, it will overpower the rest of our personality, and it will be to our detriment. Okay, so your pervasive attitude phenomenon. An attitude hazard is something that can adversely influence the decision making of a human being. How many of you have entered a state of fear and you do something out of that state of fear and it actually ended up being a mistake later down the line? That is because of our attitude hazards. When we react to the negative parts of us and we turn it into a physical action, the physical world is going to reciprocate, and it ends up usually being a mistake. Okay? You've then got undesirable, or what your attitude hazard is. It is an undesirable personality attitude or personality trait for anyone to possess, because they have the potential of leading to dangerous actions. Okay, dangerous actions or actions of regression. Okay, for example, someone who's worked their life to earn $1 million. Finally, they have $1 million. They have capital for a business. Someone comes to them randomly and says, "Hey man, I've got a business going to start immediately." If you're full of fear and you're like, "Yes," or greed, okay, attitude hazards, and you're like, "Yes, let's do it," you're probably going to lose your $1 million. Okay, attitude hazard is the understanding that you need to detach from the negative emotion and try and look at the bigger picture. Because then you're going to see the negative aspects as well as the positive aspects, and you're going to have a better understanding of the action you need to take. Okay, there are a total of 5 global attitude hazards. There are many, many more, depending on who you are. If you are a person who grew up in poverty and your parents were thieves, you're probably going to have the attitude hazard of greed. Right? You want everything for yourself. You don't care how you take it. Unfortunately, our politicians are like that. They grew up and they learned to be greedy. But that is their individual attitude hazard. We are not all greedy. Well, unfortunately in South Africa breeds greed. But we have the choice to take that as part of our personality or not. What is the choice? The choice is not to decide if we have greed. We are human beings. We have greed within us. The choice is to decide to act upon that part of our personality. That is what makes an attitude hazard. Okay? That is what makes it a hazard. It is just a thing. It is just a part of us until we decide to use it in one of our actions. Okay? So yes, we can have individual attitude hazards like greed, like lust, like whatever else you want to think. But then there are 5 that we all are subject to from time to time in our lives. Okay? And they are these ones over here. The first one is anti-authority. Don't tell me what to do. Now, there is a difference. Remember that there is a difference between using your attitude wisely and using your attitude in a hazardous manner. Every attitude hazard needs to exist within you because it's going to make you think for yourself. The issue comes when you use only that attitude hazard and you don't use discernment. So, anti-authority, don't tell me what to do. There are very appropriate times when you need to look at what's going on and you need to say, you don't know what you're talking about. I do know what I'm talking about, and I'm going to go with my way forward. Those instances are instances of discernment. Your mom wants you to go be a doctor because you're going to make lots of money. but you use your discernment to say, money is not important to me, happiness is important to me. That is when your anti-authority can be used for good, when you use the word discernment. The antidote to anti-authority is to follow the rules. They are usually right. Okay, I disagree with that. I think in this day and age, most of our rules are there to hinder us. But that's something I need to go and make sure that I am discerning properly before I make any impulsive actions, like just calling out the government willy-nilly all the time. That could lead to some devastating results in the future. But it's the truth. They need to be put out of place. Okay, then you have impulsivity. This is where you do something very quickly. A lot of people will mistake impulsivity as intuitive action. Okay, impulsivity is saying, I need to do this now or I'm not going to get anywhere. That's a fear-based thought. Intuition is, I feel like doing this. That is an intuitive thought. Okay, impulsivity and intuition are two different things. However, sometimes impulsivity can help you get to your intuitive thought. So what is the antidote to impulsivity? Don't do whatever it is you're about to do until you've thought it through. Think about the consequences. Think about the day after that action you want to take. Think about 3 weeks after the action you want to take. Imagine yourself living the life where you have taken that action and see what happens. Then you can make a better decision on what you need to do. Again, the word discernment. Okay. On to the third attitude hazard. It is your invulnerability. This is the idea that you hear about car crashes everywhere. You hear about plane crashes everywhere. But that's never going to happen to me. You hear about cancer everywhere. Oh, I'm never going to have cancer. That's a level of invulnerability. We believe as humans that we are above the laws of physics, when sometimes we are not. Okay, depending on what you believe, though, I suppose you can take that with a grain of salt. If you believe that you are fully protected by your God, by your faith, by your religion, usually that actually does end up giving you a layer of protection. And you see that in certain studies that have been done. Then you go on to macho. Macho is the confidence to a next level. Okay, so macho are those, when you go from being a confident person to being a prick or a cocky person. That is the difference between having self-confidence and belief in yourself and being macho and thinking that you are everything. Okay? So macho is, I can do it. Forget you. Now, obviously, there's an element there. It's not just I can do it. Macho is, I can do it better than you. Okay, macho is leaning towards your competitive side. Okay, and the antidote to that is taking chances is foolish. Actually, the antidote to it is humility. Okay. Taking chances is foolish goes more to your impulsivity. Because when you take a chance, you're being impulsive. Until the point where taking that chance is no longer a risk, it's just something that you have the ability to do. So for example, if you did make your $1 million, taking 100,000 of that $1 million to try and start a business is not a risk. It's a choice. It's something that you want to see if it'll work out. If it doesn't, boo-hoo, I lost 100,000. I'll make it again. But if you lose your whole $1 million, that's a different story. Okay? So macho and impulsivity can work together. Because I've got $1 million and I'm macho. I believe that I can do whatever and make more money. And then you go, as a result, you be impulsive and you do take a chance and it's a foolish chance. And then it all leads to naught. And finally, resignation. Resignation is a big one in this day and age, especially in our country with the current economic status. You work, and you never see any results. You resign yourself. You're like, well, I'm just giving up on life. I'm just giving up on work. I'm not doing this. But if we turn it into a much simpler if we use our human performance modeling, we can turn it into a much simpler analogy, and that is, there's a lot of information to study for this test. How can I possibly learn it all in a week? I'm just not going to study. You resign yourself. Okay, you say whatever happens is fate happening. Meanwhile, you have the ability to change the fate. You have the ability to change the course of action. Okay, everyone thinks that the universe is the all-powerful thing that we just got to let it do what it's thing. Yes, we do have to let it do its thing, but when it shows us what to do, we have to work with it. Otherwise, we're never going to get anywhere. Okay, so then the antidote to resignation is that. It's the acceptance that when opportunity strikes, you must work with it. I am not helpless. I can make a difference, whether it's for yourself or for others. Use whatever you need to motivate yourself. If you believe that you're here for a big purpose in this life, get through the little gritty stuff by believing that you're going to make a big difference for a lot of people one day.